I'm Dr. Heath Robinson, and this is the continuing series on Adobe Illustrator for cartographers. This class, we're going to be talking about text, and this is going to be somewhat brief. Certainly, later on, you can get into the theory of text placement inside cartography, but at least this way you will know how to use the text tool in order to adjust all of the different elements of text when it is appropriate to do so for your cartography. Putting in text is rather basic. There is a text tool, and you will notice that when you click it, it will open up a place for you to start typing wherever you click. This is an example of text. So that's pretty basic. You'll also realize that up here at the top, whenever you have text selected, well, it may not be at the top on yours, but there is a context-aware menu for when you have text selected to adjust things like your particular font, whatever kinds of fonts you have currently installed on your machine. Be aware of that when you are transferring your work from machine to machine and you're still using an AI file, that these particular fonts are not embedded inside the Adobe Illustrator file itself. So if you're working at home and you have found a particular style of text that you like, and then you come to the office or a computer lab or to a school computer or something like that, or a friend's computer, and you reload the AI file, one of the most common warnings that you get when you open up the Illustrator file is that some fonts that were used are not present on the machine. So you need to be aware that if you have found a font that you really like and you're working on multiple different computers, that that font is installed on each computer. Now, fonts will be embedded in the file if you export to a PDF or something like that, so you don't have to worry about that, but you do have to worry about it when you're moving from computer to computer using just the straight AI file. There are other options, such as regular, bold, and so forth, semi-bold. These different options are available only based on what is available for a particular font that you have installed. Of course, basic information about the font size, and then how you would like paragraph alignment. Those are your basic tools for adjusting how you want your text to look that probably everyone is familiar with if you've used even Microsoft Word. I do have a character palette here as well, and I can adjust some basic information here about my font again, and whether it's going to be bold or semi-bold depending on what's available for that font, or italic or whatever. But then I do also have some options. There's font size. But then I have a few other options. Set the kerning, set the leading, and set the tracking. So let me show you what that means. I'm going to bump this up so that you can tell the difference here on my screen. Can I make that bold? There. There is the standard Myriad Pro text. But I can alter it down here. If I click here and I'm on my example text, and I go over here to set the tracking for the selected characters, and I start to bump that up, you're going to notice that it's starting to spread out. And let me just bump that up to 25. There, notice how it actually spread out. Let me make it more dramatic, 100. See how all of the 200, all of the letters are beginning to spread out? That's another way that you can control text, because ultimately what you will want to do is establish a visual hierarchy of all the different kinds of objects that you've got on the screen. That if you've got several different kinds of waters, you have big gigantic oceans, you have smaller seas, and then you have bays, you'll want to find a particular different type of font for each one of those different three. And making some of the characters a lot further apart may be one of those options. So don't forget about these sorts of things. If I come in here, put in a paragraph between those two, you'll notice I can also adjust the distance between the paragraphs. So there are different options. Adobe Illustrator will give you lots of control over the text that you've got. Also, just for your information, if you go to Window and then down to Type, you've got a bunch of different options for different type font. There's paragraph as well. Paragraph is not currently turned on. Not only can you set your paragraph style, you have a few more options under the palette than on the context menu, but you can do things like control your left indent, control the first line indent, spaces before paragraph, spaces after paragraph, right indent, and so forth, so that you've got a lot of control over exactly what you want your text to look like. This is very important. The other thing that I want to show you as far as text goes is that let's say that I do have a curve. I'm going to draw out this curve right here. It's very traditional in cartography to have text follow curves if you're doing water. If you're trying to label a stream, it's very traditional to have the text follow that stream. Let me show you how to do that in Illustrator. It's not that hard. If this is my stream and I want the text to follow that, notice when I grab the text tool and I get close to this line, notice that slashed line that occurs through the little cursor there as I get close to it. There it's away, here it is closer. When I click on that, then it will use that path as a path for the text. So if this were a river, let me turn it blue so that it looks like one. Blue you can see. Bump up the stroke some, so there's the river that I'm trying to label. I'm going to first make a copy of it, and then I'm going to put in my text. Example, river. And also in cartography, traditionally the text is the same color as the water feature. Now it ate that line. I'm going to say paste in front, and I'm going to get the river back. Now probably what's going to have to happen is I'm going to have to move that forward. See what's going on with the text? I'm going to have to arrange and bring that to the front. And then also I want to move it off of the line that I've got there. So what if I go right up there? You have to play with the exact placement here. But that's beginning to look better. See how it curves along that river? Probably I'd want to, also traditionally, water is labeled in italics. So I'd probably want to make this italics, if it is available in this particular font. Italic, there we go. And I don't have a swatch made for this color yet, so I'll use the eyedropper to go through and change the color of my text. So that's a little example right there of how to use a curve to situate text. That's a very, very handy cartographic technique when you're trying to label streams and rivers. Traditionally, they're labeled curved along with the flow of the water course. So you want to use that ability in Adobe Illustrator to get the text perfectly flowing along that water course. That's using text in Adobe Illustrator.